What's the crack, guys? Colm here. In this video I'm going to be talking about hurling and the specific movements you can do in the gym to help you on the pitch and to kind of get the most out of your time in the gym and help that transfer over to better performance as a hurler. Now, I myself am not a hurler, I am a footballer, so take this stuff with a pinch of salt because I don't put this stuff into practice. Some of the stuff does transfer over between both, so you know that stuff I do put into practice, but some of the other stuff like the wrist strength and some of the rotatory stuff I don't put into practice as much. So the few movements that are very specific to hurling are wrist strength, spinal rotation and extension, and also rotatory stability in our core area. Wrist strength is really important, so there's a couple of things we can do for that. One would be you've probably seen this one before, where you've got like a dowel with a string attached to it and there's a weight at the end of the string and you pull the weight all the way up, and that really works on wrist extension. You can also do some wrist flexion exercises where you can just set up here like this and do some wrist flexion or wrist extension. You can also do some internal external rotation exercises if you wanted to. Again, they will help strengthen up your wrists if you find that they're limiting you. You can also do some wrist stretching exercises where you stretch your flexors here like this, and you can stretch your extensors. Stretch your extensors here like so. The next one we're talking about is thoracic mobility and lumbar spine mobility, but more so thoracic mobility. So getting good thoracic extension is going to be really important for you, but also getting good rotatory range of motion along the entire spine is going to be so vital. And a lot of that research comes from baseball players. What you find is if a baseball player's got more rotation, they can pull back a lot further, and then as a result they can power through and generate a lot more force. So working on things like T-spine wall slides, T-spine rotations, you know, there's a couple of different varieties of mobility exercises to do some T-spine extension. We do one up against the bench where we do breaths. You can do kind of openers on the thoracic spine for rotations. You can do leg drops, you can do arm crossovers, leg crossovers. There's a pile of different things you can do there. Ultimately, you should be doing one of those in your warm-up, and you should be doing maybe one of those during your workout as well. What I'll actually do is I'll include a warm-up in the whole package of programs, so I'll include one of those or two of those exercises in that warm-up as well, so go check that out too. The next one then following on from that is rotatory stability, which is working on your trans abs and your obliques, and really what that'll help you again with is generating force to strike a ball and to really kind of, you know, add a bit of distance to your strike. So there's two different types of movement we'll do with this. One is a isometric contraction where we're, you know, again challenging our rotatory muscles, so the muscles here in our core, typically at the side, and then there's one where we will actually be moving through that range and stressing those muscles with a contraction, a concentric contraction and then an eccentric contraction. So one again will be isometric, which will be just us holding it. So as an example, a pull-off press where we set up against a pulley machine, pull the pulley out to here, press the pulley away, try and hold it there, back in, press out, hold it there, back in, versus a wood chopper or just a very simple wood chopper in standing, where we're actually going through the whole range of motion and back and going through the concentric and eccentric phase of that. There's a couple of different varieties of those you can do. You can do diagonal cable wood choppers where you're pulling down, you can do them pulling up, you can do transverse wood choppers, you can do your pull-off press. So there's loads of different varieties there, and working those into your program is going to be a really good idea. There's a couple of things we want to do that you wouldn't see the regular gym goer do. First one is we want to work on power development. So when we're talking about power development, we're talking about kind of glute strength and strength around our hips so that we can run faster, jump higher. Power development will come with the contrast program. So when we're getting into our championship season, those couple of weeks in around those big games, we want to be focused on that power development. We're talking about movements like a dumbbell snatch and a high hang, high pull. We're talking about jumping. We're talking about bounding. We're talking about, you know, some single leg explosive power as well. So power-based stuff, Olympic style movements is really important for performance on the GAA pitch. Another pattern we want to introduce to transfer what we do in the gym over onto the pitch is a hip thrust pattern. If you think about the patterns we've discussed in the previous video, we have a squat pattern which is up and down, we have a hip hinge pattern which is like a I don't know how to do that with my hand, but like a hip hinge like this, and we have a lunge pattern, which is a very applicable to obviously in the pitch because we're running all the time. We're never really standing on both legs too often. So when we do a hip hinge pattern, rather than an up and down pattern like a squat, a hip hinge pattern is kind of like a push movement this way. So it's kind of like back and forth, back and forth. I'll insert another video here of hip thrusts. But ultimately what that does for us is it helps us build our glute strength, and it is in the pattern of a sprint. So when you're sprinting, you're not going up and down, you're going this way. So that will really help us with, again, transferring over muscle mass and muscle gains on our glutes into improved performance by helping us be a little bit more explosive and being a little bit quicker. So with the hip thrusts, you can apply that to your program, and that can add to building muscle in around the glutes, hamstrings, lower back. And when we get towards championship time, you can even use a hip thrust as more of a power movement where you're doing it with a little bit less weight and you're just moving a little bit quicker. Next thing we're going to talk about is actually moving side to side. Okay, football is not really a sport of up and down, and I learned that it took me a while to learn it, but when you play rugby, it's up and down. You do not run sideways in rugby. But in GAA, if all you do is run up and down, you're going to run into traffic and you're in trouble. So hurling is a lot of left and right changing direction. So we got to strengthen up the muscles that help us do that. So glute med or mini band work is really, really important. There's a couple of movements you can do. Things like crab walks, monster walks. You go backwards and forwards. You can do upright walks. You can do bodyweight squats where you push the bands out to the side. All those movements will help strengthen your glute med. If you don't have mini bands, you can do clams, you can do abductions, both lying on the floor. Again, we're looking to focus on the muscle on the outside of our hip and really get the most out of that. I'll put together a separate video just with that mini band work and that glute med work as well, if you're interested. So if you're interested in seeing that video, make sure you leave a comment in the comment section below. Next thing we want to focus on is shoulder rehab. We see a load of shoulder injuries with football and hurling, and that's because people are trying to tackle and they're trying to do this and they're trying to grab, or someone's running by them and again they're trying to like clothesline them, and the shoulder is put in a very vulnerable position, and as a result we can have some rotator cuff issues. Usually it's a minor strain on the shoulder, and if it is a minor strain in the shoulder, particularly if you're playing hurling, it can really affect your swing. So you want to be doing some shoulder kind of prehab work year round to make sure that those rotator cuffs are really strong, particularly in around championship time, because again, the last thing you want is a sore shoulder to keep you out of an important championship match. We want to focus on external rotation, which is out here like this, and internal rotation, which is here like this. If you want me to put together another video of those exercises, just let me know. I can throw that together nice and quick. The next thing we can work on inside the gym is balance. Now you can do this very simply with a single leg stand. You just stand on one leg. You can close your eyes, it makes it harder, or you can look left and right, it makes it harder again. Put in a slight bend in the knee. If you want to progress that on further using an unstable surface like a Bosu ball or just some kind of a cushion, and again you want to challenge yourself there. So that might be like 30 seconds to a minute, challenging yourself on that balance work, but ultimately that will really help you down the line when you're going for a score. Someone's knocking you off balance. Can you maintain that center of gravity? Can you execute your skill under that kind of pressure? The last thing we can introduce to really benefit us is hand-eye coordination. And so you can do a couple of hand-eye coordination drills with tennis balls, where you bounce the tennis balls up and down. You can throw them off the wall, throw them a catch. That's it for this video. Again, I am not a hurler, but listen, that is what we do with all the hurlers that we have here. And trust me, most inter-county hurling teams are doing all those movements, if not every inter-county hurler is doing those movements. So definitely get on those guys. Hope you enjoyed this video. Make sure you let the lads know about the video. Throw it up in the WhatsApp group. I again will add that warm-up into the documents on the Facebook page. So go get onto the Facebook page, which is GYM and GAA. Like the video. If you like the video, leave me some comments. If you want to see some extra stuff, or if you want me to cover more stuff in videos, let me know, and I will see you in the next video. Slán.